Welcome back to the program and welcome to Alan Tudge and Stephen Jones. Thanks very much for joining us.
G'day, Dave.
First to you, Alan Tudge, on Tony Abbott's budget reply speech. Will he indicate tonight where the coalition will make savings?
He'll indicate some places where we can make savings, and we have already done so. But tonight really is about outlining the plan as to how we can make the economy stronger and make our society stronger.
Isn't tonight about responding to the government's budget and in doing so saying whether or not you support the savings that they've made?
Well, as I said, we'll wait and see what Tony Abbott says tonight. In part, it will be a critique of the budget and a critique of the government. But equally importantly, it'll be outlining our plan and our vision for the future, how we can strengthen the economy, how we can make our society better, and how we can give hope to the Australian people that things can be better, that this great country doesn't have to be governed by a terrible, wasteful government. That's what Tony Abbott will be doing tonight.
Stephen Jones, on the budget, how do you feel about going back to your electorate and explaining that not only has Labor delivered 3 more years of deficit, but also that it's going to be making some painful cuts? The baby bonus gone, tax cuts deferred, health, tertiary education all being hit as well.
Yeah, look, the people in my electorate know they've got to make a choice between having a job or meeting an artificial deadline for returning the budget to surplus. They'd rather have a job, they'd rather keep their businesses open, and they'd rather us keeping the economy ticking over, the best performing economy in the world. And frankly, in response to what Alan has said just now, what Tony Abbott has got to come clean with the Australian people is how he's going to fill his $70 billion black hole. People would like to know about his secret plan to increase the GST. People would like to know. People would like to know about.
What evidence do you have?
Look, we know that there is a strong campaign inside business community, inside the Liberal Party themselves, that they want to see an increase in the GST. They have a massive revenue problem. A massive revenue problem.
This is a distraction.
The only way
the
that
revenue
they can
doesn't
fix
come
it,
to the Commonwealth, Stephen. All the revenue from the GST goes to the states, and the states have to agree before the GST can be picked up.
Certainly Tony Abbott hasn't said anything about increasing the GST. In fact, he's ruled it out. But
that's right. But can I just pick up on one point? I mean, Stephen talked about jobs here. Last year, the Treasurer said it was critical for jobs and cost of living for the budget to be in surplus. This year, they're saying the opposite. So which is it? Is it important for the budget to be in surplus for jobs, or is it important to have record budget deficits for jobs? You can't have it both ways, Stephen.
Well, Alan,
that's the problem.
If you want to pretend that the Australian economy lives on another planet and not planet Earth and is not interconnected to the world economy, you go on doing that. But the fact is, we are a very good performing economy, low unemployment, low interest rates, low inflation, in a world of troubled economies. It's a miracle that we are doing as well as we are. Jobs are growing, the economy is growing.
Just onto some of the specifics, Alan Tudge, would you be happy to see the back of the baby bonus?
Would I be happy to see the back of the baby bonus? Well, we're going to have to make some very serious decisions in relation to the budget, because we are inheriting $192 billion of budget debt, which Labor will give to us should we be fortunate enough to be in government. So we'll have to make tough decisions, and we make no bones about it. Well, we've already outlined some of our savings. We've said that we won't proceed with the school kids bonus. We have said that we'll have to reduce the size of the public service by 12,000 people through natural attrition, and we've made other commitments, and we'll have to take a close look at these other things.
I've got a press release from 1996 where John Howard said exactly the same thing, 12,500 people by natural attrition. The result was well over 40,000 people sacked within 2 years of them being elected. So we can't believe a word they say when it comes to
scaremongering. First the GST.
You said exactly the same thing in 1996. We know what you're going to do because you've got form. I want to hear whether the Leader of the Opposition is going to confirm tonight that he intends to increase taxes for Australia's lowest paid workers. Is that the sort of hope, that an opportunity that he wants to give to low paid workers in Australia?
Okay, well look, there are a few other issues that, as I mentioned at the start of the program, are providing a bit of a distraction today. One of them was the Coalition's initial refusal to allow a pair for Michelle Rowland. She wanted to go home to care for her sick child and put in a request. It was initially refused. This is what the Manager of Opposition Business said on the doors this morning.
If we were aware that Michelle Rowland had a sick infant on Monday, she would have been given a pair on Monday. so she could return to her child, exactly as she should. What we are seeing here are political games from the Labor Party. I was shocked to hear Tanya Plibersek this morning on radio trying to link Michelle Rowland's pair to the paid parental leave scheme. I mean, how low will Tanya Plibersek fall? How desperate will Labor to become to be now using a sick child as a political pawn to try and attack Tony Abbott?
So he said if they'd known, they would have granted a pair, but a letter obtained by Sky News today shows very clearly that Warren Entsch, the chief opposition whip, did know, was aware that it was for a sick child. You can see it there, that the member for Greenway, due to her child being unwell. And then the bottom line, the opposition will not provide a pair for the member for Greenway on this occasion. Should point out that that pair has now been granted. But Alan Tudge, what happened here?
Well, David, I should say that I'm a father of 2 little girls myself, and if they're sick, naturally I'd like to be at home with them. So I can understand Michelle wanting to be at home with her sick child. The important thing, though, now is that she has been granted that pair at the time for when she wanted it. In fact, she's been granted it from this morning, and which means that she can leave Parliament if she wants to do so immediately.
Was Chris Pyne misled, or did he mislead others?
Well, you'll have to discuss that with Christopher Pyne and with Warren Entsch, but the important thing now is that a pair has been granted. Bear in mind, we take these things quite seriously, because what a pair means is it's requesting one of the coalition members to exit the Parliament in order to allow one of the Labor members to exit the Parliament. We sought some further information on Monday when the request was made. That information wasn't forthcoming. When it was, we granted the pair.
Stephen Jones, the Prime Minister today, said that this is essentially proof that Tony Abbott doesn't get working women. What did she mean by that?
Look, I think it's a pretty clear example that Tony Abbott will stop at nothing for crass political opportunism. And Chris Pyne has been aiding and abetting him in this process. I mean, they did the right thing only after exhausting every other possible alternative. They don't get what ordinary working people go through, and particularly working women.
Isn't Labor embarking on political opportunism as well by pushing this forward?
There is one thing that is absolutely certain. There is no way that Christopher Pyne or Tony Abbott would have granted that leave to Michelle Rowland unless he'd been shamed into it.
That is
Wouldn't have done it unless they were shamed into it. He has tried to find every other alternative to doing the right thing. It was only when it became public, it was only when he was shamed into doing it that he realised he had no other option but to do the right thing.
Alan Tudge.
I just think that's an outrageous accusation, because the request was made on Tuesday morning for a pairing to be given on Thursday night. And so the chief opposition whip requested further information because it didn't appear to be an urgent matter. That information was not forthcoming. When that information was forthcoming, then the pair was given. Now, and the other thing I'd sort of say is that the government wants to spend all day talking about this issue. They want to spend their time talking about anything other than the budget. And the reason why is because the budget is terrible, because it just increases taxes, it increases debt for as far as the eye can see, and it's more broken promises.
Well, it's not just distractions coming from the ALP. There are distractions that are being pushed along, you'd have to say, today by the coalition as well in regards to Craig Thomson. He's quitting the Labor Party. He's going to run as an independent. He's made some pretty serious claims in the Daily Telegraph today about an allegation that he was offered a pre-selection contest that wasn't a real pre-selection contest, that he would have lost and got a bigger payout. What's the evidence, I suppose, to you, Alan Tudge, that this has happened, and how solid is that?
Well, Craig Thomson himself has made this very serious allegation that a sham pre-selection was going to be held in order to defraud the Commonwealth of $100,000. That's the allegation which Craig Thomson himself is making. Now, we have asked the police to investigate this matter, to investigate this alleged fraud, and we're asking Craig Thomson also to come into the Parliament today and explain himself, explain who it was that tried to induce him to participate in this sham pre-selection.
You've never believed him in the past. Why believe him now?
The thing that is remarkable about it, these guys have spent the last 2 years saying Craig Thompson is not a reliable witness. Now they want to hang their hat off this beat-up in the Daily Telegraph. I mean, frankly, Craig Thompson would have been ineligible to stand for a pre-selection because his party membership has been suspended. So it does not pass the laugh test.
I don't believe it has.
It does not
suspended,
pass
actually,
the laugh test.
This is the thing. I mean,
it is suspended.
It is the New South Wales Labor Party, which at the moment is going through these corruption inquiries in Sydney. It's the party of Obeid. It's a party of McDonald.
But what did you mean by it hasn't been suspended? I mean, it's clearly been suspended.
Well, my understanding was that that Craig Thompson said today that he would be relinquishing his party membership and standing as an independent at the forthcoming at the election. So.
Stephen Jones, it's still a serious allegation, whether or not whoever it's made by. I mean, it was made by Craig Thompson, but shouldn't it be investigated? It is a serious claim.
I'm not privy to the details of those discussions. If there is truth in it, it should be investigated. But frankly, it does not pass the laugh test. Craig Thompson would not have been eligible to stand in any pre-selection because his suspension has been suspended, not by one person, but by the entire administrative committee of the Australian Labor Party. So it just could never have happened.
Resigned.
Does not pass the laugh test.
He hadn't resigned, he'd just been suspended. So that administrative committee could have easily just lifted that suspension order and he could have participated in that sham. Now this is an alleged fraud against the Commonwealth of $100,000 by a member of the Australian Parliament.
Absolutely.
This needs to be investigated by the Australian Police, and Craig Thompson needs to go into the Parliament today and outline exactly the conversations which he had with which ALP members in New South Wales that he had those conversations with.
Okay. Alan Tudge, Stephen Jones, I know you've got to get to question time. Thanks very much for your thoughts today.
Good to be with you.
Thanks, David.
And thanks very much for your company on Lunchtime Agenda. We're going to take you to the House of Representatives today. I'm sure it'll be a fiery session with all of those issues that we've just discussed, not just Craig Thompson and Michelle Rowland, but more importantly, the budget reply speech that we're expected to get from the opposition leader tonight. But also there's still much more wash-up from Wayne Swan's budget delivery on Tuesday. Let's go now to the floor of the House of Representatives.